Hey Sleep people, and welcome back to my channel, or if it is your first time here, welcome especially. I'm Sally and I'm so glad you stopped by. Please pardon the crazy hair, crazy face, the messy kitchen behind me. It's just one of those days and we are rolling with it. But today I want to share with you kind of some tips and tricks in the form of a what I eat in the day for how to get more protein into your diet, because a lot of us are vastly under eating protein, myself included in that. It is definitely something I struggle with despite a long time of trying to prioritize more of it. So just finding little ways to kind of increase your intake throughout the day can be super helpful. Generally about 100 to 120 grams per day is going to be the minimum recommendation, at least in this space for women. But what's going to be ideal for you is really dependent upon your body weight, upon the kind of activity you're doing, whether or not you are weightlifting. But if you kind of have no idea, you can use that minimum of 100 to 120 grams a day kind of as your starting point. But I do encourage you to dive into it more, just do some research for your personal weight and lifestyle. So, okay, it is about 8:30 now. I just got back from the gym. I had a couple of my gummies, my gelatin gummies that I've talked about before the gym, just for a little bit of fuel. That honestly didn't have that much protein, probably no more than 5 grams. I was mainly focused on carbs to fuel my workout, but that is a great little hack, is using grass-fed beef gelatin to make yourself some gummies, or you can also add that to hot drinks and you really don't notice it's there, but it sneaks some really bioavailable protein into your diet with some amino acids that are usually a little bit harder to get. So now we're back and it is time for breakfast, and what I'm going to do is flip you around and show you some hacks that really help me out. But before we do that, please don't forget to like this video if you like what you see, and if you have not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button as well. For breakfast, I am going to have 2 eggs, 3 pieces of turkey bacon, and then I am making a protein-rich smoothie, which is also going to be really my carbohydrate source. And I probably will not be able to eat all of this in like one sitting, but I'm going to eat this, have some of the smoothie, and then as I run errands, I'll take the smoothie with me and sip that throughout the day, which can be really helpful and a great way to stay satiated. But in terms of tips and tricks, biggest thing I would start with, or say first, is just to start early in the day. The more protein you can get in your breakfast, the easier it is to stay on track for the rest of the day. So each of these pieces of turkey bacon is about 6 grams. Each of these eggs is 6 grams. So hold on, quick math, 24. It's going to be about 30 grams of protein right here. And of course, this does have fat built in, which is another thing to think about. Each of these egg yolks, I want to say it's about 4 to 5 grams, I'm blanking. And then I think each piece of turkey bacon has about 2.5. So that's one of the reasons we don't really need to think about adding a separate fat source to a meal like this, is because it is built in. And of course, you've got the really nutrient dense fat source in those egg yolks. So it can be helpful to just prioritize foods that are combining those nutrients instead of, trying to add in a separate fat source to each meal. In this smoothie, I've actually added some cottage cheese. It's the first time I've put cottage cheese in a smoothie, so we'll see how it goes, but it's always recommended. I emptied this out, but it is the Good Culture low-fat cottage cheese. I absolutely love this stuff. You guys have probably heard me talk about it before, but it's super great whether it's early in the morning or for an afternoon snack, because a half cup has 14 grams of protein, and it only has about 2.5 grams of fat as well. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Fat is really important, but again, sometimes it can get in the way of our other macronutrient goals because it's easy to just get a lot of it, especially when we're eating these whole food sources. So I love this stuff. I went ahead and added a half cup to my smoothie. So that's another 14 grams. And then I have my collagen peptides. These are amazing because you can add them to just about anything. Your coffee, it dissolves. You really can't taste it. This brand especially is the best I've tasted. Like you don't know it's there. You can add it to a smoothie. You can add it to oatmeal. And each scoop is going to be 10 grams of protein. Just as with the gelatin, you're getting amino acids that are going to be a little bit harder to find in just muscle meats, for instance. So roughly, we've got about 24 grams of protein in the smoothie, plus we've got 30 grams of protein through this. So that's about 54 grams of protein at breakfast time, which is a really great start to the day. To be honest, this might be one of the most random lunches I ever put together, but my general strategy for lunch is to just make leftovers the night before or make enough dinner so that there are leftovers the next day, and then have the same thing for lunch. And I did that. I made salmon and like pot stickers last night, and that was tasty, but I'm kind of like not that crazy about eating salmon 2 days in a row, or like at least a plain salmon fillet. I don't really like it reheated, so I heated up some bone broth and I'm just putting in my leftover cooked salmon. It was like soy glazed with the pot stickers, and then I threw in some frozen peas. So very random, but I think it will be tasty. I added a little bit of fish sauce to the broth for a little extra flavor, and I'm going to show you what salmon I get here in just a second. Here's the random little soup I threw together. Honestly, it looks quite tasty. I think that'll be great, and bone broth is a great way to, again, get a little extra protein in, although this is relatively light. I'd say you can add maybe 5 grams of protein, 10 grams of protein, just depending on what you're using. And then this is the salmon I get. It is from Costco. It's the keto salmon. It's actually a little bit lower fat, higher protein relative to like sockeye salmon. It is wild caught, which is super important to me. And with salmon being a bit of a higher PUFA fish, this can be great for people who are, you know, keeping an eye on that, because less to worry about. And they are really affordable as well. This isn't the most flavorful thing ever, but honestly, it's pretty good. Definitely does the trick, and it's about 40 grams of protein, maybe 42 altogether. Okay, I'm all clean. Yay, so exciting. And in the bedroom randomly to talk about food because the dishwasher is running, and I don't want you to hear that in the background. But what I want to talk about are snacks, specifically protein-rich snacks, because I think that this is an area where it really pays to be extra intentional, as it's easy enough to, you know, have a quality protein source at a meal, but sometimes in between when you're trying to get that little extra boost, we don't realize how little we're actually eating, or it's hard to find good sources that you actually want to enjoy. So my first recommendation is going to be beef jerky. You can totally make this yourself, or I got this at Costco. I think it's a pretty good brand. They have lots of different varieties, but in just 1 ounce, you've got 12 protein, half a gram of fat, and then 7 grams of carbohydrates. So 1 ounce of beef jerky really isn't a lot. You can eat 2 or 3 ounces, no problem. I would pair it with a piece of fruit, or you can always pair it with an adrenal cocktail, and that's a really nice, well-balanced snack. An adrenal cocktail is another area where you can definitely sneak in some protein. If you're not already adding collagen to your adrenal cocktails, you can absolutely do that. Although honestly, my preference with those tends to be pairing it with something like beef jerky, or with like a little charcuterie platter that I'll make for myself, which is another suggestion I have for y'all. You can do some cheese, you can get some charcuterie meats. Costco again has great options that are like truly from Italy, great cuts, pretty well sourced. And another example of where you're getting that fat with the meat, so we don't need to think about adding in an outside source. Same thing with the cheese, it's in there together. So something like that, again, maybe adding in a little bit of fruit so that you're making sure to get enough carbohydrates with the protein. And then this is where I'm just going to be real with you, because as much as I want to be getting my nutrients from whole food sources and eating really clean, sometimes it just makes sense, and it is just so worth it, in my opinion at least, to have a protein shake or to have a protein bar or something like that, especially for the sake of convenience. And so this is something that I found really helpful. It is the Fairlife 30 grams of protein. It's literally just, I mean, it tastes like chocolate milk. It does have some stevia and some monk fruit concentrate in it, which I usually don't like anything that's not sugar sweetening my drinks, but this I can handle for some reason. Like, it really does just taste like chocolate milk. And I certainly wouldn't recommend it all the time, but I think as far as protein shakes go, it truly is just filtered milk. And they get this much protein in it by filtering it down and down and down until I suppose the whey is more concentrated. So please don't come at me for drinking my protein shake. I know there's some of you out there who might. Not 99% of you. You guys are wonderful, but there's always that one person. I'm just saying that if I'm being completely real with you, I will use things like this on occasion, especially if I am, you know, leaving the gym and need a boost, or need to just grab something and have it to go, or I'm really just having a hard time getting enough down in a particular day. this can be a huge asset. And then another perfect little snack in my opinion, which is definitely a little bit cleaner than this, is going to be to make a nourishing hot chocolate. I will insert some clips here, but all I will do is add like a cup of milk, which has about 8 grams of protein in and of itself. I will add a scoop of collagen, about a tablespoon of cacao powder, and then you can sweeten it however you like, whether it's honey or maple syrup or just regular sugar. And I love adding just a dash of cinnamon as well. And then I whisk this all up, and it is so wonderful to sip on. I'm sorry, you might be able to hear the washing machine. There's always something in the background, but you know what? That's just life, especially in my squeaky old apartment. But it's wonderful to sip on in the afternoon when you are really craving something just nourishing and snuggly, or even before bed. Having something that is milk based or having something that is like cheese based in particular is going to be a little higher in casein, which can actually be really helpful for managing blood sugar over the course of the night, because that particular protein source releases pretty slowly. You could compare it maybe to a complex versus a simple carbohydrate. Both have their place, both are important, but particularly before bedtime, that kind of slower release, we'll say, of protein can help keep your blood sugar regulated. So those are just a few snack ideas. I've already eaten about 100 grams of protein at this point, and you know, had I even added more milk or something like that to my coffee, that number would be a little bit higher. So I feel like I am on great track to hit my goals for the day. Gonna have, you know, probably 1, maybe 2 little snacks before dinner time. And then for dinner tonight, I'm going to make a big pot of chili. I'm not going to film this because I am having some friends over for dinner, and I just need to kind of get my head clear and get that ready and then enjoy the time with them. But I will say I have been loving doing like a big pot of chili recently, because you can make so much of it. It's really tasty, and then you not only have leftovers for the next day, but you know, a little bit into the week if you make enough. And of course, it's a super protein rich way to in the evening and have on hand. I'm gonna stop talking now. I do hope this is helpful. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, please of course leave them in that comments section. Until next time, bye y'all.